Hi, very good afternoon. It's Jim from MathStar. First of all, I want to thank our data collectionist in Canada, Kendal, for sending me this document. Obviously, you can see it was created by a captain of the United States Air Force, and it was on the cataclysmic polarity shift, and is based on the geomagnetic reversal. And very interesting read, and pretty much all what we've been talking about here at the observatory is mentioned in this report. It's a very in-depth report, and acknowledges a lot of scientists, which I've heard a few of, you may have heard a few of, but there is an extensive list of accreditors at the end of this document. And this proves to those doubters that think that this ain't happening, that it actually is. This is a very, very real scenario, an anomaly that is taking place, and a rare anomaly that rarely comes about. We've got no collected data as to what to expect, only the things that we have learned through the understanding of the last couple of decades, really, on this topic. It talks about the threats to the risk of the national grids within countries around the world, the food production, the harmful effects of exposure to cosmic radiation. There is a lot of uncharted territory we don't know. What about the physical and mental effects during one of these periods where the magnetosphere is completely, totally and wiped out at zero during that reversal? It also reimburses the fact that these reversals can take place in 100 years, as little as 100 years, or as long as 7,000 years. I just want to bring your attention to what has happened in the last 14-15 months of studying it from our point of view here at the MathStar Observatory. We was watching a trend a few years ago that was showing prominent signs of rearing its ugly head, and it did. And then universities that were studying this anomaly also came out and said things such as, we have noticed, a deterioration in the rotational speed of the inner core of our planet. It may come to a halt. It may stop. It may reverse. Exactly what we would expect at this point in time. Predicted by me over a year in advance, more than a year, maybe 2-3 years in advance. And in particular, a time date was put on this that has surpassed. We reached the 40-degree mark. We started to see strange activity with the magnetic pole migration, tracking back easterly, then progressing westerly. It is still in a constant progression westerly, slightly at a greater speed than it has ever been at before, which is an indication that we are still on course for possibly, as this describes, a cataclysmic event. Humankind is not prepared for this. Your governments, as this document sets out, has not set aside research funding for this to look at it and study it in more depth, and it recommends that. It is necessary to do so because we're in that process already. This affects everything from, the geo-orbit out in space, close proximity to Earth with our satellites. It affects the security of countries, in that it will put them in a vulnerable position if they are not prepared to deal with it at a particular type and point in time, where other nations may well have done that. And you should not rely on the fact that they have already done this, Gene. They've got it all under control. They know that this is happening, Because, you know what, if I don't know all the outcomes of this event, and I've been studying this now nearly for 2 decades, then I'm sure those new to the game won't be brought up to speed on this. Just the effects of a moderate Carrington event, not as bad as the Carrington event. And the Carrington event was that event like when we had that solar flare come off the sun and it wiped out all the telegraph poles, fried them. That was our only technology at the time. Such event happens today with all the delicate micro scale electronics that we've got. Won't stand a chance. And I understand that it is hard to afford yourself the time to think of such things as the pole reversal when, you know, we are looking at tens of countries now going into recession, and the reason for that is probably simple, that they all had the same principles of what Western and modern culture should be doing at this particular time. And obviously, yes, we know there's a lot of corruption involved in this. Like I said in yesterday's video, you know, you can compare sanctions on a country leading to war. You can compare situations where countries go into recession and there is war. And we could be easily classified as recession war right now around the world. Global recession war. You know what's happening in Haiti right now. There was causes and effects that led up to this. There's your crystal ball. You know, when countries start to fail as a result of a load of things, that's what you're going to expect to see. The government won't be able to contain the problem, and that's what's happening right now in Haiti. You know, what we should be doing right now is investing a lot more money in the study of geomagnetic reversals. A hell of a lot more. In fact, the budget should be more than that of the net zero program that is taking place, but that is not happening. The governments around the world have took the hands off the steering wheel and put the foot flat down on the throttle, and they're just hoping that, you know, in due course and time they can get through this. But the reality is that as they do that, you know, what is inevitable will happen, and is going to happen. It should not be left down to an observatory of our kind to notify people of the events that are taking place. It should not be left down to us. And at this point in time, you know, we are insolvent. You know, our programs that we've got are moving at snail pace speed simply because of the lack of funding. It's an incredible time, a shocking time. I really say, you know, I can't reiterate that to you guys more than anything, but this document, you know, if you don't want to take my word for it, look up this document. It's in the public domain. Read it, and you'll soon come to the same conclusion Kendal did. Pretty much what you said, Gene, over the years is in this document. We extended that a little bit further. You know, we are probably the only last public observatory relaying the latest magnetic pole position to you guys. You think about that. There's a link down there if you want to help support what we do here. That is not mandatory, it is entirely up to you. I'll say what I usually do. As always, bye for now.